I used to talk about the mechanistic paradigm that pervades our society. The the paradigm that we live in actually worked well for a very long period of time in terms of delivering goodness, at least to a group of people, or
Mm.
a particular group of people, but delivering goodness, health, wealth, lots of things. Um, and that very same system is now producing unintended consequences of the wrong kind, harm in multiple dimensions, in multiple ways. And you look at something like, as we both know, the NHS, whenever there's a problem, they throw more money at it. They throw another process that's quite mechanistic, and consistently it doesn't work. And all the money they throw at something, all the time and resources they do, just generate consequences that no one really wants to have. What's for me interesting is that any paradigm actually has in it all sorts of goodness that it delivers, but almost always it delivers that at the front end in terms of a time sequence. And at the back end, what you get is what we've got now is this machine that generates the wrong stuff consistently. It makes our problems worse, not better. And it requires us to actually move into a very profoundly different way of looking and understanding the world. I mean, my work is around living systems and how you understand everything that's going on as being part of a living system and what that then implies about what the work is.
You understand systems far better than I. And I'm looking at it purely from the sense of having people who stand up and say something different. And I keep going on about Tim Walz, which would get terribly boring. And I'm sure I'll learn something about him shortly that I'll think, oh my God, he's not who I thought he was. But there's something about people yearning for somebody who's speaking differently and maybe touches them in a way that we've discussed on other podcasts. And I wonder whether there's something about, it's about leadership, isn't it? And service and all of that. I'm struck by when I read about his students, what they would say is why they loved him as a teacher was he would ask questions and then he would listen to them. He wouldn't just tell them stuff. And can we find leaders who will listen? And so there's a different paradigm there in terms of the style of leadership that might mean some of the changes that you're talking about might emerge, because we don't know what those changes will be. We don't know what the solutions are. But what we need is fresh thinking. And for the fresh thinking, we need the dialogue where, as I've said before, we're more drivingly interested in what someone thinks than we are fearful of being proved wrong or any of that. What are we in service of? And one of the things I would hope, and I saw a bit of this at the Democratic Convention, was some of the speakers trying to welcome back those Republicans who were thinking, I'm a Republican, but I don't want to vote for Trump. I'm seeing something here which speaks to me because, of the values. What do you think?
One of the things I did want to ask about is why is the conversation that you talk about, being able to share our freshest thinking, be in conversation with one another, why is that a leadership thing? Why isn't it just a citizenship thing?
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. And I think when I talked about those school children, they were in that conversation and they've gone on to do amazing things, many of them. So I think as early as possible, we need to encourage young people and children to be able to think independently for themselves. And how do we create the conditions for that to happen? And so absolutely, it's a distributive leadership style. It's recognizing that any of us can make a difference. And some of that would be through the quality of our listening.